Today on Alpine Garage Sports, it is time to pour the foundation of our team this year, and it's going to happen during Wyoming. It's got to happen during Wyoming. We're also going to talk about the new Ralphie and also some ties into the game that we're going to have today, including our keys to the game. All that and more on this episode of Alpine Garage Sports. All right, it is game day. It's game day, and I'm headed to the stadium here probably in about another hour. And we're gonna head down to Pearl and eat some lunch, and then head back and bring you guys some live footage of the why not live footage of the Wyoming game, live footage of the pregame, the happenings that are going around the stadium like we always do. And that's going to include the Buff Walk today, and that's going to be roughly about 5:45 for those of you who like to watch that. And then also we're going to be going in the stadium like we normally do and show you the warm-ups. And that's going to be, probably around, I think, 6:30 or so tonight. So that's kind of the game plan for us this afternoon. And we may do a pop-up live here and there too. I may not have a graphic for it or anything. You may just see me go live because something cool is going on. But let's get into the game today. So we finally have a new Ralphie, and obviously you guys know this is Ralphie VII, 1 year old American Bison. No name yet. We're everybody's throwing names out. When I'm on the forums, I'm seeing some pretty crazy names out there. I think the name has to do something with running though. Like I'm just gonna put the running like stigma out there because we haven't had a strong running team the last couple of years, and we also haven't had a strong running Bison the last couple of years. So now that our Bison is ready to go, Ralphie VII is a runner. We know that. We've heard that. All accounts say that she's going to come out tonight and she's going to outrun her handlers, and she's going to be dragging the handlers all over the stadium. And that would be, I mean, I don't want to throw out concern about the safety for our handlers or anything, but I'm just saying I want her to go out. I want Rafi to go out there and give it her all and inspire us as a football team to go out and do the same. And I mentioned earlier how, this is the day that we get to pour the foundation. And we hear a lot about identity, and I've said I don't like the word identity, although I understand the reason why we use the word identity, right? Um, I like to use the word foundation because everything that is stable is built on a strong foundation, and that strong foundation in football is basically what your entire football team's built around. What is your scheme offensively and defensively? What are you about? What can you hang your hat on? What can your players understand that they're going to go out and do? What is the game plan? And it can't just be whatever every game. It's got to be a root from something that is solidified. And I think this is the game that we're finally going to get back to trying to do that. I'm not going to get into the history today of how we got here because you all know that. You've been following this channel and other channels and trying to figure that out on our own, with the help of the coaches telling us from the inside kind of what they're looking for. But this is the day we do it against Wyoming. And, you would think, okay, so Wyoming was kind of slated originally to be an easier game for us, but we found out that Wyoming is not a cupcake. They're going to play us very hard. There's really nothing about them that is going to be easy. And so as far as I'm concerned, if we can show our identity, if we can lay that foundation today against a good Wyoming team, then I think that sets us up for success for the rest of the year. We need to have a good showing. And I don't just mean beating Wyoming. I think I'm talking about at this point too, being strong in every phase of our game. And we don't have to be perfect in every phase because we're not a perfect team, and no team is. But we need to show that in every phase of our game that we can be consistent. And if we can do that in all phases of the game against a good Wyoming team, that bodes well for us in the future. We're playing a Wyoming team that has a lot of Colorado players on it. You guys have heard it everywhere, so have I. They're obviously, Colorado is a bigger football state then Wyoming and Colorado, you've heard me say it over and over again, not the biggest of football states, right? You're not to even see the local news cover high school football is hard to find here in Colorado. Wyoming, a much smaller state. I mean, there are less people in the entire state of Wyoming than there are in the Denver metro area. So it's when you're talking about being able to recruit into Wyoming, obviously Colorado is going to be a big state to recruit from. So you have all of those players that want to come in and show their worth to a University of Colorado football coaching staff that may have overlooked them in the past. You have Jay Johnson, who is their OC and quarterbacks coach, who actually coached at University of Colorado in 2019 under Midnight Mel, and the team did not do all that great, 5-7 that year. But we had Montez and Fontenot, so we had a good quarterback and a good running back. We had a pretty good team. It just wasn't our year, and there wasn't a lot of stability there. I don't think the foundation was set for that team, and obviously it was in and out very quick. He was only here for one season, so now he's getting to coach against the University of Colorado, and it's going to be. I'm not going to say personal for anybody. But it's definitely going to be important for the University of Wyoming to show up at Folsom, and we need to remember that going in there, right? So when you're talking about what we need to do and what Wyoming is going to do, we've heard a lot about Wyoming being. We all know Wyoming as being a running team, right? They've been a running team for forever, right? But this year they're trying to, under a new coach, trying to balance themselves out more in the opposite of what we are. So they're trying to become a little more spread than they have been in the past. And we're trying to key in a little bit more on our running game than we have in the past. So again, very similar to Houston, the Houston game, we talked about this exact same thing. Houston was trying to stretch themselves out of the primarily run game and be able to use a quarterback that they believe is going to be a great quarterback. And so far he's shown himself to be one with Houston. And they were able to show that identity to us, and they were able to accomplish that. Now, is Wyoming going to be able to do that? Obviously, a much different team. I don't think they're as strong as Houston, and I think that we have learned a lot of lessons over the past couple of weeks that we just need to settle ourselves down. We need to commit to what we're doing, commit to a quarterback, and really just start pounding the rock. And I'm thinking we're going to see that today. Caden Anderson, their quarterback, has shown some sparks of life this year and has really sparked their team. A pretty accurate quarterback. I want to say he was in the 62.5 maybe completion percentage, which isn't bad, and he can run the ball. So when you're considering that the offense Wyoming's offense is almost dead even, 186 through the air, 159 on the ground. So like you're literally talking, when you're talking about balance, they have a very balanced offense. And with over 350 yards per game, even though I've heard and you've heard and we've seen that their offense isn't as good as it has been in past years, I still think it's super strong. I mean, when you're averaging 350 yards per game in the first few games, you're gonna be a little tougher to beat than a lot of teams. Running back Sam Scott, 215 pounds of bruising runner, and he's not a quick burst guy that's going to gain a lot of yards. His average is about 4.5, but he'll get those tough yards, and he is their most prolific back. Although Harris and Kelman, their other two running backs, are averaging both over 7 yards per carry. So they're a danger. It's a dangerous group of runners there. And as much as you hear about them wanting to spread the offense, the running game is good, guys. The running game it's interesting to say the least. Receiving Chris Durr, 15 yards per catch. So obviously they have a receiver that is pretty prolific as well. If they can get him the ball, he could eat up some yardage pretty quick. So what I'm saying is, with all of that, is that this is not a pushover game. And I don't want to say that I'm personally nervous about this, because I do think that we're going to carry a win here. And it's going to be a pretty solid win. I think that the key is for us that we need to show balance everywhere. So keys to the game. Let's talk about keys to the game. My key to the game on every single game is time of possession. Time of possession is something that we've got to really understand is going to win us the most games. We have to be able to eat up the clock. We have to be able to run the ball. We have to be able to manage the clock wisely. And if we can come out with more than 30 minutes time of possession at the end of the game, I think we stand ourselves a chance to carry a 9-win season or better and possibly go to the Big 12 championship. Without that, I don't think we stand a chance. I'm just going to come out right now and say it. If last year we did not win time of possession and we still had a good season. In fact, we were terrible at time possession, 27 minutes last year. Okay. We don't have the keys to our offense that we had last year that was able to put points on the board without having to have the clock. We don't have that this year. So the clock is our friend. The clock is necessary. And we need to show in this game against a team in Wyoming who prides themselves in owning the clock. They literally hang their hat on the fact that they can do it anytime they want. We need to show them that we are just as good at this game and we can do the same thing. So time of possession is my number one. If we get time of possession in our favor, we will win this game. This could be one of those games too where we have 28 minutes or 29 minutes time of possession and we still win. But I think we need to carry this game. We need to slow the game down a little bit and really show that we can do this. The second one is contain the run. 156 yards per game, better than we average. And they're known to commit to that even though they're trying to spread their offense out this year, if they get into it, if they can have success running the ball, they're going to just run the ball. And we've got to show that we can do it against Wyoming, because if we can't do it against Wyoming, we're not going to be able to do it against any of the other teams that we are going up against, including BYU, which is our next real big test, right? We've got to show that. And that starts with tackling. We've got to be able to limit the runners getting past the first point of contact. And if we do that, we are going to cut the amount of yards gained on our defense by 33%, right? You do that and you hold them to just barely over 100 yards this game. And if we can do that, if we can hold them to just barely over 100 yards this game, we are going to carry this year. I really think that's something that we can do. I think it's possible. I think we have the people, we have the personnel, we have the coaching. We just need to execute. And that's where that comes from. Hopefully this week of practices, we heard from a couple of the coaches that this week of practices, they mix some things up. And so maybe there were a little bit more physical practices, and we're going to see a little bit different team this week. Pressuring the quarterback is another key to the game. A number 3 key to the game is we have a great defensive line. They have not been playing great, but we have a great defensive line. And if we can get our edges to pressure the quarterback, we are going to really have some dominance this year, because I think they're a dominant program. They're a dominant team. Those individual players playing as a team, I don't think that we're going to get beat by very many people. They've got to be able to learn to do that. And so I'm so hoping to see some continuity out of that part of our team today, so that we can see some dominance on that defensive line. The last one is create an identity. And hopefully this will be the last time that we use identity as something that we don't have. And that starts with running the ball, is just run the ball. We've been doing very well this year compared to previous years with that. And we need to continue it. We know we can do it. Keep the players in there like Price that we know can eat up those yards. Trackhawk. I mean, even Welch, even though Welch is not getting the yards that we've seen him get in the past, he's due for a breakout. I mean, we know he's a guy, right? We know he's a stud on our team. But if Micah isn't getting it, if he's not getting the yards that we're really expecting today, man, we can lean on Price for 6 yards a carry. You know that Trackhawk's going to be dynamic out of the backfield. So those are some areas. And when I say run, I mean runs, and I mean quick passes to the halfbacks or to the running backs. As much as everybody hates the screens, I'm not against the screens. I don't like it on every play. And if we show we can't block for it, then we need to eliminate that from our game plan. But we have speed on our team. And if we can get the blocking in front of us, if we can get those wide receivers, tight ends to block a little bit better, then those screens could be an easy way for us to keep the clock running and to keep time of possession in our favor. And I think Trackhawk is one of those guys. He can get it done. He just can't do it by himself. Tight ends. Let's get the tight ends going, guys. We say it every single week. Everybody says it. It's not just us. We have great tight ends. They're not the best at blocking right now, but they'll get that. But they got hands, and let's use them in the middle of the field to eat up some easy passes. That gets our accuracy up. That keeps the clock running. We chew up about 6-7 yards per catch. And it's something that's hard to defend when we have such great wideouts. We get them out on the boundaries, open up the center of that field. And I think you have that run presence, especially with Caden, that can threaten that run, right? You have the wideouts that can threaten the pass. You have that tight end that can eat that middle up in the middle. So between those two things, that's where that tight end really starts to pop. And I think we can do that. We need to exploit that today. We need to exploit that. And then lastly, and most importantly today, I'm assuming, and we are all assuming, that Caden is going to be starting today. And if that is the case, we need Caden to be Caden. We need Caden to be the Caden that we wanted to have come to the University of Colorado and carry us. And what I mean by that is it's not all on Caden. We need the coaches to let Caden do Caden. And if Caden can be Caden and do Caden, and we can see the Caden that we wanted to come here, this will be a dominated game. We will dominate this game, and it will be a lot on Caden. And we'll walk out of this game today with our chests puffed up, knowing that we have finally figured it out. Caden's got his swagger. The offense understands what it's doing. The defensive line and the edges are really starting to punish other teams. And we are going to walk out of this and into BYU a totally different team. And the swagger will be back. That is what I've got for you today. What do we got? What do we got in the chat today, real quick, before we end this live? Because I'm going to be headed down to the campus here in just a little bit. Brian C is in the house. I have not been Brian is watching the Utah Texas Tech game and seeing how we measure up. I have not watched any of that, obviously, because I've been doing this. So I'll take a peep at that. Wyoming would be fired up on this one. Dangerous game if we don't take it seriously. Utah crushed them, though. Yes, Utah, but Utah is also a very good team. So I looked at that game. I watched that game, and I don't know that it showed us really a whole lot about Wyoming. It just showed us that Utah is going to be really good this year. And today's game is going to be a big game for them. Let's see. The coaching staff has not shown any of what you just said. Why do you think they will somehow miracle themselves into existence? And that's an honest question, and I agree with that. So, first of all, I don't think that it has to be a miracle that we show the coaching that we want, because I honestly don't feel like the coaching is our biggest problem. I think our biggest problem is execution. And I think we go into it with a good enough process to win these games. But when we decide to juggle the team around to try to figure out what parts fit best, that's a problem. That's what fall camp is for. Fall camp is to figure out who your guys are, and then you put them in and you play them. And if we don't do well, and these are our best guys, we don't experiment with it. Okay. Rotating people out, not a big deal, right? I think rotating people out too much is a problem. We should be conditioned enough to where we don't have to do that for conditioning's sake, but we need to get our best players. We need to show them that we have confidence in what they're doing, and we need to give them live game reps enough to where they can get a seam going, because you pull them out, you put them back in, you pull them out, you put them back in, you pull them out, you put them back in my opinion. Okay. I don't think that creates the continuity that we have. Plus, you're mixing up the players on both sides. And we're talking line, we're talking defensive backs, we're talking the backfield of the offense. You have to get that cadence, and you have to know the people that you're playing with, trust the people that you're playing with, and get that vibe going in order to have that connection. And so I don't think that, from a coaching perspective, game plan perspective, that is our biggest issue. I honestly just feel like we didn't know what we wanted to do this year. And so up until this game, we've been second guessing ourselves maybe a little bit, maybe doing a little bit of experimentation. And so I don't think it's going to take a miracle to really get the coaching staff on the right page. I think it's just going to need to be the consistency of this game. And we're going to see it in this game. If we are consistent, we will see it. And to me, that's what we need. So I appreciate that comment, PB. Let's see. Every team for their last few seasons is fired up for us. That's right. We are on everybody's radar who's playing us, and I think that people that our teams that are not going to play us are still watching us because we are what's happening in college football. Even 3 years later, I think that we are still what's happening. Don Sember is in the house from Alabama. Welcome, Don Sember. Let's see. Buffs are still in the rebuilding mode. O-line and D-line need help. PB says the defense has given up 400 yards of offense in 3 games so far. Why will this game be different? Again, it's the continuity. I don't think Wyoming is the caliber of the other 3 teams that we played. And you may scoff at that a little bit because one of them was Delaware. But I honestly feel like Delaware's offense is better than Wyoming's offense. And that's why I feel very, very confident about this game. Is because I feel like we're going to defensively, I think we're going to be able to control them. I'm not saying take them lightly because I just told you in the beginning of this video that they're not going to be a cupcake. But I think we got enough foot in our butt over the last 3 weeks, not only from other teams, but from internal discussions and from the media and from fans. I think there's enough of that going on right now to where the team is really, I think they're going to gel today. We'll know when this is all over. Tomorrow, we're going to go live in the morning and we're going to talk about it. I'm not going to do a post game tonight because it's going to be super, super early in the morning for most of you guys. And I want to get home after all this. I'm going to be on campus for 12 hours today. But tomorrow morning, we'll discuss it. And if I'm wrong about this and we didn't gel as a team in this game, I'll be the first one to call it out and we'll pick it apart and see what's going on. Peter says, I'm good with the running game at this point. We haven't unlocked the loaded wide receiver room. Gap assignments, missed tackles need to be cleaned up. DB need to do better. All of those things are absolutely true. I think when you say we've unlocked or that we're good with the running game at this point, I'm 100% in agreement with you, Peter. I think where we're missing on this is that we're so much better at it this year. Why aren't we sticking to it? Right. And I know we want to use all of our team. We want to show our firepower, as it were. And over the last couple of years, we have really kind of keyed in the wide receiver position, and we want to make sure that they get fed. But when you're good at something, just do it. Just do it. We're trying to win football games here. And so I agree with you on that. Unlocking the wide receiver room, I think, has a lot to do with the quarterback. Being consistent at quarterback and getting these guys a consistent quarterback to throw them the ball. Yes, and gap assignments, it's a wide-ranging thing, right? I mean, understanding where you're supposed to be and being able to plug that gap is a fundamental. And can you get that straight in this last week? We're going to find out, right? We're going to find out. I don't know if we can, but we're going to try. The defensive line has given up 200 yards of rushing in each game. What makes you think this will somehow be different? I think it's going to be over 3 games, figuring out who our guys are that we want and keeping them in there. And I think that's what the difference is going to be. I think a more physical practice, and heard a couple of the coaches say that they mixed up the practices to try to simulate the game a little bit more. And so maybe that will do it. Maybe that will do it. We've seen teams, I mean, for the eternity of college football, we've seen teams go from terrible to awesome in 1 week. All right. We've done it in the last couple of years. And we've also done the reverse. We've also gone from extremely good to extremely bad in one game. So yeah, it can be done. Absolutely. It can be done. Let's take one more, or maybe a couple more. KR is in the house. KR has been a long-time subscriber. I don't think it's the defensive line. These linebackers need to step up. Well, that is true. I think the linebackers are thrown into that as well. What I'm saying about the defensive line isn't that they're bad. It's that they're so good individually that we could be a wrecking ball on the defensive line. And we have not shown wrecking ball. We haven't shown that. So that's what I'm saying. Our linebacking crew, and I'm not poking at our linebackers. We knew linebackers was a potential opportunity going into this season. And even though we found some dogs like Reginald, who I think is an absolute dog, right? And there are several others in that group. It just hasn't gelled together like we assumed it would, right? The defensive line, to me, I think we have a lot of all-stars on the defensive line. Individually, I think that a lot of these guys are all-stars. They're not playing as a team, it seems like. We're not getting the most productivity out of that, how good they are. And I think that that could set the tone for the rest of the defense. If we can have that team place the amount of pressure that I think we can place on that offense, it will change offenses. They're going to have to shift gears, and that's where we get all those yards back. That's where we get our 200 yards that we're giving up every game. We push them back down to 100. That's where we take the total amount of offense that we are allowing on defense from over 400 to 250, right? And I think it starts in the trench, and I think that our trench is that good. I think they are that good, and they can do it, and I think that they're going to show it today. I'm hoping they're going to show it today. Let's see. Vaughn is in the house. Have you ever, whoever the QB has to take control? Yes. Not only take control, show confidence, and we need to put that quarterback. We need to put Caden in a set of circumstances that allows him to do what he does best. So I think that he needs to have 15 design runs in this game. I think that we need to get big hands from the tight ends right in front of him, 7 yards in front of him, so he can complete passes and feel confident in that. I think that once we do those two things and we get everybody to crush a little bit more, knowing that we're just going to eat the clock up, that Caden can hit him over the top on some goes, and we'll feel good about that part of the game too, right? I think in that order, I think we can do this. I think Caden can show this. Let's see. Brian says leadership needs to get this team back on the right track. And I agree, Brian. And leadership, not only from the coaches, but more specifically from the team, right? From the individual players. And we were wondering who the individual players were, who were going to take over the leadership roles in this team were when all those folks left last year. And it doesn't look like we've had a lot of people become the evident leader, right? I think a lot of people have probably stepped up. But in order to lead this team, you not only need to step up, but people need to receive you. And I'm afraid that maybe for the first few games that players weren't receiving the leadership that was popping up, right? It's because you can only have so many chiefs. And when you have all those chiefs out there, everybody's doing their own thing and no one's following an individual. And so someone needs to be able to be received as a leader. And that's where I think we're at. And I think we're going to see that more in the upcoming week, specifically, hopefully today. And then on that same note, we need a verbal leader on the field. We can't expect motivation just to come from the coaching staff. And that's right. I mean, I like to see the coaches animated on the sidelines, and that shows me that we are watching the game and we're reacting to the game, right? But on the field, man, we need those guys to just be on each other, okay? And when we're making a play, and we're swarming the ball, especially on defense, pumping each other up after a great play, so that we can bond in that, right, and not have. I hate to say individualism out there because it takes individual achievement in order to make this thing work. But to see the team out on the field is something that I'm looking for in this game. Vaughn says we can win this game if we play to our strengths. And the individual strengths that we have, Vaughn, we're all there. I think in individual parts, like Coach said earlier in the year, I've said it, everybody's said it. Maybe not everybody, but a lot of people have said it, that I feel like maybe we could be a better team this year than we have been in the past, even though we lost our, world-beating players, because you have to play as a team at that point. It takes every individual, and sometimes the best teams out there don't have superstars. And in this particular case, I'm not looking for a superstar. I'm looking for an entire team effort that can and a coaching staff that understands that when you've got something going and you've found a seam, stay in that seam until they take it away from you. Like why go away from it? And when we run tonight, if we're running strong, just freaking run. Just run and run and run and run and run and just keep running, right? If they take away the run, which I don't think they're going to do, okay, cool. Let's go to the second tier, right? Mid-level screens and mid-level crossing routes, right? And then hit the high notes, hit the go routes. Okay, after that. But I don't see if you're running the ball and you're doing a great job with that we go away from that for any particular reason whatsoever. Let's crush this game. Let's crunch it. Let's eat up the clock. And if we're good at the run, let's stick with that. Let's stick with that process. William Grimes says, I agree, but if they practice like that, game day shouldn't matter. That I agree. That's what we're going to see how they practiced this week. We heard a lot about their practices this week. Let's see what it looks like on the field. And I'll bet you if they practice like they say they did, that we're going to see a difference. PB says, second guessing yourself, not knowing what you want or who you are, your words, not mine, are all the results of bad coaching. Could be, PB. I'm not saying that you're not right. I'm more talking about the in-game coaching, not general coaching at this point. Because when we're in-game, I almost feel like at that point, making adjustments from the coaching staff, from the OC and the DC, I think are super important. Motivating your team on the side, super important. Correcting bad behavior is important. I think it's going to come from the individual players on the field being leaders with the rest of the team is where we're going to really see. Let me find another comment here. What about playing Hestra and Timmons? Man, if Hestra and Timmons are two of our best receivers, then play them, right? Up to this point, the coaches don't think that, okay? Compared to the other players that we have, they haven't been out there very much, if at all. I don't think we've seen Hestra at all, except for maybe, I don't even remember now. Hestra's name hasn't been called a lot. But I mean, if that's what we're missing is the fact that, we dropped a lot of passes. So maybe we try some new hands. Cool. I get it. I think that quarterback is a way bigger issue right now. I think that we have good enough receivers in the receivers that we've started in the past few games that if we get solidified at quarterback, I don't think that's going to be much of an issue, but absolutely. I mean, if we get down to it and we don't think we're playing the best players, why not? Let's see. PB says, I never see this team running tackling drills, scramble drills, 2-minute drills. Well, I mean, we don't see everything. But that could be an issue, right? Let's see. I want to highlight this from Vaughn. Vaughn says, total facts, Chris. Vaughn, you are like the best subscriber ever, right? No, I know I'm not right with everything. I mean, I'm just a fan like most of you are that want to see the team find itself. And if this isn't our season that we're going to go, 9-4 again, if this isn't a 9-win season, I'm searching for my word here. If this isn't a 9-win season, then I'm going to be okay. I'm going to be all right. I've been through a lot as a Colorado fan, and I think all of us, being Colorado fans and being fans of other sports teams, we have our ups and downs. And we had a high last year with 9 games. And if we're not at 9 games this year, I'm going to be okay. What I do want to see, though, is I do want to see some continuity and consistency with the coaches and the players so that we can get something down, because this is not just a this year thing. We're never going to have Shedeur Sanders back, and we're never going to have Travis Hunter back. Never. It's never going to happen. They're going to go play their games, and we're never going to get players like them again, meaning that I don't think we're going to have a quarterback and a wide receiver / cornerback combo that are going to dominate our team in another year. We're going to have probably some 5-star athletes come in, and we're going to have some superstars here and there, but it's never going to be like it was in the past. So we've got to be able to figure out this year, what do you do with a bunch of really good players and a bunch of transfer portal players that have extreme amount of talent and extreme amount of um, experience, and our coaching staff being a young coaching staff. Okay. Now we know we have some guys that have been like in the NFL for 100 years coaching, right? We only have we have two of those guys, right? Everybody else is a fairly new coach, just has a lot of NFL experience, including Coach Prime. I mean, when you're talking about coaching experience at the higher level, at the college level, Coach is still a fairly young coach. So when we're looking at that, every year that's underneath our belt is another year that we learn to bond this team together, bond our coaching staff together, learn the lessons that we need to learn going up against a Big 12 conference that just seems to get better every year and will probably continue to get better every year. That's where I'm looking for this year, right? I don't need a Big 12 championship this year to be happy. I want to see that going forward, that we have a plan to replace the success that we had in the previous years, or at least last year, and that we can do it by turning people over. And every year is we're going to take new players, because that's just the way it's done now. And we're going to be able to field a team that is consistent. And then the next year we switch players, and then we field a team that's consistent. And if we can do that this year, then we're going to have, I'm flying at that point. I have a lot to look forward to. If we don't show that we can do that, if we show that we can only have, we have to go out and find a couple of superstars that are going to carry the team, man, I don't know. I don't think that's the case. I'm not thinking that is the case. I don't think that that's going to be our future. But I wanted to just spill that out, because I've been thinking about that a lot over the past couple of weeks. Is, what are my individual goals as a fan for this year? And it isn't the amount of wins. It's the consistency that we can show as a team. And so I think that's what we're looking for. That's what I'm looking for today. Vaughn says we do need new superstars to emerge. And KR says, dude, you've been beating the bad coaching take enough. Try solutions instead of saying the same thing over and over. Well, it is what it is. I mean, if I'm saying it over and over, it means it hasn't been fixed. So that's part of what we have as any football team, is that everybody has their reasons why they believe that the team isn't doing what the team needs to do. But we're 1-2 at this point. It's I think I've said enough there. I think we're going to see it in this game. And when we do, I'm going to be beating the drum more than anybody else. Alpine G, thank you for your grind. Thank you very much as well, William. And everybody that's on this chat, KR, Brian, Don Sember. There's so many of you that have been here for a really long time. Vaughn has been here for a long time and supported this channel. And Jennifer's in the house too. Oh yeah, I knew. I get it. KR and PB, I get it. I understand. But KR, I get what you're saying. And if it wasn't ported towards me, I know, but I'm the same thing. I say the same things every single week. And I tell myself, hey, you need to come up with some new things, Chris. Like, don't keep saying time of possession, because, people don't, they know what I'm going to say. I'm going to get on, I'm going to say time of possession. But I'm going to keep saying it over and over and over again until we figure that out. We've got to win that part of it. And same thing with coaching. I am riding with Coach. Okay. And no matter what coach comes in after Coach Prime leaves, because he won't be here for forever, right? I will still be a Buffs fan. And whatever the University of Colorado decides is Coach Prime's replacement, I will ride with that coach. And I'm going to be vocal about what I think needs to change. But I think that at this point, the only thing that we can give is support, right? That's the only thing we can give. Tearing down the team every single week after a bad loss is not doing anything for the team. You can call for a resignation. You can do whatever you want. I mean, you saw a lot of coaches come out this last week and kind of defend themselves, right? And after the Dolphins game, there's a whole lot of speculation about that, about that coach, right? I mean, fans want to see wins, right? But at the same end of it too, middle of the season is not time to talk about that. And we're not talking about that with Colorado. Don't get me wrong. What I'm saying is that I'm going to ride with coach and I'm going to call out the things that I think we need to do in order to be a good football team. But the coaching staff isn't listening to that. It's just for us. It's just for the fans, right? It's just for the fans of Colorado. And it's just for us to banter back and forth and keep ourselves busy until the next game, which is coming up here pretty soon. That's awesome, guys. Well, I'm going to get off of here. I need to get on the road. I'm pretty sure I'm late getting out of here. So I'm going to jump on the road and get down there, and you're going to see me this afternoon. So look for my lives, and we'll get back here. Thank you very much for supporting this channel. Make sure you subscribe if you already have it. We'll see you today in the next live.